Welcome to episode 1 of the Cuda Chronicles. This is a new series I'm starting that'll document the updates, changes, upgrades, breakdowns, anything that happens to the Cuda. The most recent thing that I updated was an issue that I needed to chase down recently, and it had to do with the electrical system. These older cars, this is a 1972, come with alternators that are in the range of like 30 to 60 amps maximum. Frankly, older vehicles just didn't have the same electrical demands that modern cars have. In order to have the bandwidth down the road to install things like a subwoofer and speakers, electric fans, an air conditioning unit. So I replaced the stock alternator with a 120 amp single wire Mopar alternator. And that's fine and all, you can do that. The problem is the charging system was never meant for that kind of output. So if you look at the charge wire that goes from the alternator to the battery, you'll see it's a fairly narrow gauge wire. Again, it was never meant for anything close to 120 amps. So I had to replace that wire with one that was much thicker. So that would be a lower gauge wire. And I even added a 150 amp fuse within 12 inches of the battery. Something catastrophic happens, I have a fuse in the line that will burn before the rest of the charging system does. And that all works fine until the car ran great with that new alternator and new wires for maybe 2 years. And then I decided to update the starter wire. I'd get home after driving, the car would have trouble starting the next time. Now I do have it on a trickle charge system because I do have a couple of things installed that will slowly drain the battery over time. One of those being a GPS tracker, but typically that takes maybe a week or two before that has any noticeable impact on the battery. So after a single drive coming back and then the next day finding my car is struggling to turn over, that was a bit surprising. And so I paid attention to my charging system this time around. I recently added gauges to actually see my voltage in my charging system. I didn't have those before, so I didn't ever know if there was a problem with the charging system until the car wouldn't start. But now I have gauges so I can see what my voltage is. I'll probably do an episode on the gauges by themselves. It was staying around 11 volts, which is not great. And I pulled out a multimeter, put the leads on the positive and negative end of the battery, and with the car running, the alternator should be pushing something in the neighborhood of 14.5 volts, charging the battery up faster than the battery is being depleted. And it wasn't. It was like 12. And that was after it being fully charged on the trickle charger all night. I turned everything on. Everything that required electricity, turned on the headlights, turned on the speakers, turned on the fans. And I can see in real time my voltage dropping by like a tenth of a volt every minute or so. And so I knew my alternator wasn't working. So first I inspected the belt. It was squeaking after another update I did recently, which if the belt's squeaking, that tells me it's not quite tensioned enough, because the alternator is actually what provides tension to the V-belt that runs from crank to the alternator to my compressor for my AC system. So if that's not tight, the belt could be skipping and not really spinning the alternator the way it should be. That wasn't the issue. And I looked more closely at my wires and found that my positive charge wire on the alternator side of that fuse was starting to melt. It was this tiny wire that goes from my battery to the starter relay that was likely causing a constraint or resistance on the system. Now, I'm not an electrical engineer. I can't explain to you why the thick wire was melting down as opposed to the thin wire that was causing the resistance. But from what I understand, there was kind of a buildup of electricity, of heat occurring on the alternator side of that fuse, which is why that started to melt. But essentially what happened is I have, if you want to think of it as a straw, I have this really thick straw that I can move a lot of fluid through, a lot of electricity through. And then going from the starter relay to the battery, that thick straw narrowed down to a really thin straw. So it was a bottleneck, not allowing electricity to go from the starter relay to the battery. These old Mopars are wired in a way from the alternator to a fuse, and then from a fuse to the starter relay, and then from the starter relay to the battery. That's just how they were done. That's not to say you can't run a wire directly from the fuse to the battery instead of having to go from the starter relay to the battery, which is what I decided to do. So instead of relying on that tiny wire from the starter relay to the battery, I bypassed the starter relay entirely and just ran it straight from the fuse to the battery. Now, just to be safe, I actually replaced the entire wire because I can't see inside the wire. I don't know what kind of damage has been done to the copper inside or any of the insulation. So just to be safe, I replaced the entire wire and then ran a new lead from the fuse directly to the battery. I turned the car over, I checked my voltage on a multimeter, and it was 14.5 volts. So I left that tiny wire there because that is actually what provides electricity to the starter relay, which runs the starter to turn the car over. And that wire is more than enough for that, especially because it's not a sustained load. You only have the key turned over for a little bit. Just a little bit of an update. That's one wrong there. Maybe if you're having an electrical issue on your old classic car or even a modern car, you can check your wiring, look for any burnt insulation or any electrical tape that may have come loose and melted as a result of it being encountering a lot of resistance, and then search your electrical system from that point forward and see if there's anything in the system that could be providing resistance, because it's a compounding issue. Because once it starts to melt and it loses that insulation, it will gather more resistance, which then makes it melt more and gathers more resistance, and then resistance and melts more. So it's important, if you're noticing any type of issue with the charging system, and if you are seeing physical degradation in the cables, that you don't continue to drive the car, because that could turn catastrophic pretty quickly. And since I did all my electrical myself, I always keep a fire extinguisher in the car at all times. Knock on wood, we have not had any issues, but a good safety precaution nonetheless. That's it for episode 1 of the Cuda Chronicles. I think, I'll look at my gauges next time and tell you guys a little bit about how we got those wired up. We'll see you in the next one.